Well, hello everyone. This is Dr. Ayleen, and for those who are on Blog Talk Radio, I welcome you to Medicine Walk / Blog Talk Healing House Radio with Dr. Ayleen. For those of you who have joined me on YouTube, hold on, I just have to turn that down. There we go. Okay, so it's amazing after all this time. I still have to remember to do that. And it has been kind of a crazy week. Welcome. Welcome to what I hope can be an eye of the storm, because there has been major storms going on. And first off, for all of those who were impacted by what happened in Charlottesville, the young woman, Heather, who passed away because of it, my heart and my spirit and all of my blessings go out to the family, and especially those who are hurt. And it really makes it very hard sometimes to be able to hold on to the belief of the best in humanity when things come in and they seem to just almost conspire against us to believe in what I personally believe to be true, is that we're an amazing species. And yes, we've got our light and our shadow. And it's important to remember that everything has light and shadow. Everyone has light and shadow. It's about choice. And I called this episode Never Surrender because it's important that we never surrender our choice, even in the face of things that are very overwhelming, things that can trigger on many different levels. Honestly, I would love for everyone to choose gentleness and kindness and compassion and all those good, wonderful things. And I'm realistic enough. Next week I turn 55, and in those modest 55 years, I've learned to realize that, well, sometimes bad things do happen to good people, like the title of the book from a very long time ago. And sometimes it's not fair. And sometimes people react and they make choices that are very unkind, and everything from unkind to truly horrific. As a species, we've been through that. And I still believe that as a species, we can be so much more. And we have an opportunity to learn, and we have an opportunity to grow, both as individuals and as a collective consciousness of humanity. And it's important to remember that we always have choice, that we always have an opportunity to stop, to think, to decide. Now, ultimately, what you decide is up to you. And I have people in my life and in my energetic field who have a huge variety of spiritual beliefs, of political beliefs. And there are times when those don't mesh so well. And we have to really kind of talk it out and say, okay. We can agree, what is the phrase? Agree to disagree on that low level. The problem is when it escalates. And the problem is when we begin to talk at each other as opposed to with each other. And ultimately, there are always going to be those who make a choice to just, kind of go right off the rails, and who choose to tap into that shadow aspect, to tap into that chaos aspect. And I find that tremendously sad, and I believe them to be tremendously wounded. And that is my belief. I'm sure they would not consider themselves wounded. And it's like, well, if you don't, then, that's your path. And I like choosing peace, even though I know that sometimes that peace has to be hard fought. I like choosing personal freedom, even though I know that freedom isn't free. Choose love, And I also know that there are those who will not. So how can, in this moment, we create an eye of the storm? Because that's what I don't want you to surrender. I don't want you to surrender your eye of the storm. I don't want you to surrender that breathing space. It's your right to take a breath. It is your right to just pause. Recently, I posted on Twitter that, I will always take a second look at my first reaction before I react, or at least I try to. And it's important for all of us to figure out a way that we can, at the very least, we don't have to agree, but that we can have civility. And for me, I know that when I'm in a situation like that, when I'm in a situation where, I have in my lifetime been, subject to discrimination, significant discrimination. And I know from my family members and listening to the elders in my family as to what the world was like in the 50s and in the 40s. And ultimately, it comes down to there's no way that any one group encompasses, that all of that belief system. There may be, people in a group who subscribe to a particular belief system, and yet not everybody does. It's like saying that, well, bananas are yellow, but not all bananas are yellow, and not everything that's yellow is a banana. And what I would like to encourage and to offer is just to take a moment. And we've got huge things that are going on, and huge, very serious things. And there is no simple solution. There is no simple way. And there are similar scenarios like this that boil down into our own lives. Conflicts with people, really having to deal with people who, you're locking horns with. And being able to go, okay, I have the choice to escalate, or I have the choice to stop and think about this. Think about is the escalation going to give me what I want? Is my reaction that I'm choosing one that is going to produce an outcome that I'm looking for? So, it's about realizing what outcome do you want? If you're in a conflict with someone and you're getting kind of riled up, what is the outcome that you want? Stop and consider what that is. Do you want them to ultimately agree with you? Okay, maybe. Does that escalation get you what you want? When someone is escalating with you, maybe, you started a discussion that off, and they're really kind of coming at you over it. Them escalating it, is that making you more likely to agree with them? I know for me, it really doesn't work. If someone, really attempts to either talk over me or, just really kind of bully me into a particular viewpoint, I know that I'm probably not going to take that viewpoint just by virtue of how they're presenting it. It's like, well, I'm not going to listen to you at all. And it's hard not to get wrapped up, especially if you feel passionate about something. And if somebody holds a viewpoint that is completely opposed to you, it's best to it's like, you know what, I'm not talking about this with you. And I've done that. I had a situation where a woman who her point of view was bullying. In my mind, it was really wrong. And she just kept wanting to come at me with it. And I just kept telling her, I will not discuss this with you. And it was at an event, and, I was trying to get everybody out, so I couldn't leave because I had to lock up. So I just stood there. I said, I am not going to discuss this with you. And she kept going, I'm not going to discuss this with you. The event is over. Please leave. And she got very upset and she stormed off. But we didn't discuss it. I chose that anything else she had to say did not interest me. I didn't have to get upset about it. I didn't have to get emotional about it. But it was a situation where, I mean, why would this person try to think that she could convince me of something coming at me from the way she did? And it's very easy to kind of get caught up in that. And it doesn't mean that you don't take a stand for something. It's important to take a stand for things, especially if you feel that, it's like, you know what? No, this is not okay. That you stand together with other people who say, no, this is not okay. This is not serving any higher purpose. This is not moving us forward as a community of mankind, of womankind, of people kind. To be able to shift out of anger and into determination, because anger can become determination. Fear can become discernment and wisdom. It's all in how we apply it. And, I talk often about, the counsel that I have in my mind, where my love is there, and my anger and my determination and my faith and my highest possible self and my lowest possible self, and my happy inner child and my wounded inner child. And all of these parts of me are there, and they all get one vote. And maybe I see something that just really makes me angry. And anger's going, well, all right, let's do something about this. Well, I know that anger, and that it would really feel good to go do something about that. But the question is what? It's like, okay, I have to stop and consider, all right, I'm angry about this thing that I've seen. First, what outcome do I want my anger to take me to? What is it that I personally want to have as a result of this to happen? Which means I've got to step out of anger and let anger turn into, it's like, okay, anger, I need you to put on your determination hat. I need you to put on the hat that says, well, no, I'm going to do something, but I can't do that right now. I can't do anything until I figure out what is it that I'm looking for. And then maybe I figure out, it's like, you know what? I want to be a part of this particular injustice not happening again. Well, then I don't have to go to anger. I can use determination and say, you know what? I'm going to contact organizations. I am going to support organizations and groups that support what I believe. And I'm going to go out there and I'm going to add my energy to theirs, which will give me what I want, which is this injustice to be dealt with without having to go into becoming what I'm trying to fight. If I come at what I'm trying to fight with nothing but hate and anger, it's like trying to throw gasoline on a fire to put it out. It's like, there's a saying that, when you fight fire with fire, you just end up with everybody getting burnt up. But that doesn't mean that you can't take action. That doesn't mean that you can't be a part of a huge solution. It doesn't mean that you can't be a part of being able to say, you know what, I don't agree with this. And it's not right. And we're going to see that something changes. Our culture has been historically points where a bunch of people get pissed off about something and a movement is created and change happens. And whether everybody agrees with that change or not, change happens. Change happens because people get together and say, you know what? There is a positive on the other side of this, and we can find it. But this particular thing is not okay. And ultimately, it doesn't matter what cause you want to embrace. You need to find what's true in your heart. What is it that is your truth? And when you find your truth and you view something that your truth says, no, 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 we ain't going down like that, then yes, you can use that energy and say, I am going to make a positive change in this, and I am going to maybe I'm going to march, maybe I'm going to financially support an organization that is helping with this. I'm going to write letters to my congressman. I'm going to do whatever it takes to be able to create a change that is going to give me the outcome that I'm looking for. And ultimately, the outcome that I would look for is that on the other side of whatever it is we go through, that we are wiser, that people remember why we fight for things like equality, that we learn that we're not going to forget that injustice exists, because it's when injustice exists and it's in our face, that's when we have an opportunity to show the best of humanity. That's when that positive thing comes out, because people get together and say, no, we're not going to let whatever it is happen. And that has happened so many times. You know, when we consider, you know, so the civil rights movement, when we consider, you know, all over the world, people standing up for humanity and for the dignity of humanity. And there will always be people who stand against that, or in their view, that's not what works. Well, okay. If that's your thing, if that's how you honestly feel, yeah, you got to do what you got to do. But understand that there's going to be a lot of people who disagree with that. But we don't have to come at it with you know, the intensity of matching that energy. We can come at it from a higher place. We can come at it from a better place. We can say, you know what, we can shut this down, and we don't have to harm a single person to do it. We can go through ways to be able to find, I mean, oh my God, it's 2017. And this is a lesson that we're having to learn again on a much deeper level. And I believe in us. I believe in you. I believe in the capacity of every single person to go, you know what? Let's look at this a different way. We can fix this. We can get together and decide that chaos is not going to override what we know is true in our hearts. Events like this, in some ways they show the worst, but in other ways they bring out the best. And whatever it is that happens, whether it's on a global scale, whether it's on a national scale, state, city, whatever it is that we're doing, whatever it is that we're holding within ourselves, in order to be able to say, you know what, just wait a minute, let's figure a way that we can just work together. Let's listen to each other. And if somebody is talking foolishness that doesn't resonate with you, then don't talk to them. Walk away. Let it go. And understand that when somebody is set in a particular mindset, and this is, like I said, this can be just between two people talking. If somebody has a particular viewpoint, we're not going to change it. We're not, you know, if somebody becomes really entrenched, and I've watched this scenario among family, among friends, among, you know, just in observing people, that when two people get into a conflict, I mean, I'm a chiropractor, and there are so many different perspectives on chiropractic, even among chiropractors. And I've seen some pretty heated discussions about, you know, two chiropractors will get together and, you know, and maybe they get mad at each other. It's like, well, no, this technique is the best. Well, no, this technique is the best. And I would imagine every field has that. There are always those who, no, this is the way you should do this. Well, no, this is the way you should do this. And rather than go, well, let me see what yours is. Let me see how you do that. Okay, well, let me show you how I do this, and this is why. So you explain to me why you do it that way, and I'll explain to you why I do it my way. And allow that opening for somebody to go, well, yeah, I can see it. I can see where there's situations where that technique could work. Rather than just say, well, yours is stupid, and I'm not gonna embrace it at all. I'm not even gonna try to understand it. And I mean, there are those who, really kind of say, well, all chiropractors are whatever. So being so busy, kind of, battling with each other means that you can't go, you know what? We can agree that there's a technique for everybody, and that each technique works for, a certain number of people. And we need to make sure that chiropractic is available to everyone. We need to support laws that support that. So there's an opportunity. Whenever there is a disagreement, there is an opportunity. And even though it may be a small one, I think it's worth looking for. Now, if it can't be found, okay. You just, well, all right, I guess this is not going to go, this is not going to be a meeting of the minds. So, we'll just let it go. You do your thing, I'll do my thing over there, and we don't have to worry about it. Sometimes that is the resolution. Sometimes the lesson learned is that you're not going to be able to find that, that meeting. And yet there can be an agreement that, well, okay, we can agree that generally, certain things, chiropractic is basically good, which I know there are people who don't agree with that, but we won't worry about that. But finding that common ground, and even if there's somebody who there's no way you can find that common ground with, you can still find the common ground with others. That person will not listen, but it doesn't mean somebody else won't. It doesn't mean that your message is not, valid. It doesn't mean that peace isn't possible. It just means that you still have to kind of work on figuring out, okay, that person is not going to hear this message. And there are a lot of people who won't. And that's, that's a sad thing, but it's true. Not everybody is ever going to be able to get it. But the ones that do, they're worth the conversation. That is worth the effort. If somebody says, well, yeah, maybe, okay, I'll listen. That's where the magic can happen. And like I said, we're living in a very difficult time right now. And there's a lot of very polarizing situations that are happening. And some of them are very hurtful. And I'm very sorry. And I feel just such huge compassion for people who are dealing every day with just having to fight this fight, and know that you're not alone. And whatever it is that you want to believe, however you want to manage that, that's between you and your own spirit. We just need to each not be willing to surrender to just the anger, or just the fear, or just the hatred. I mean, you don't have to go and, hand a bouquet of roses to somebody who has just done something very horrible. And you can go hand the roses to the people who are hurt by it. You can't change the ones who are set in whatever, in that mindset. But you can do what you can do to help people who are affected and to help it not happen. And that can be done without having to resort to violence. We don't have to match violence for violence. And yes, there are times when you have to fight, but there's a different mindset. You can fight to protect, you can fight to hold on to something, to help society move forward. Because sometimes, it's regrettable, but sometimes it does come to that. And yet it's about the intention, it's about the energy you're putting in behind it. So I really, and I hope I'm phrasing this okay. I hope that what I want to say is coming across. And what I want to say is that we're better than this. Honestly, as a species, we are better than this. And we demonstrate that so often. We are able to embrace. We're able to have an open hand rather than a fist. If you want to go for the fist, do it because you are conscious of the choice you're making, not as a reaction. If you want to have the open hand, understand that that is a choice. And do it because that's what you consciously choose. I want everyone to have choice and consider what your choices are. Because choice is a very powerful thing. Whatever you believe, whatever you support, have it be because you've thought about it, you've considered your options, you've considered the consequences, and that's what you choose. And whether it's huge social events or if it's just an argument with a friend, make sure you have that choice. Make sure you claim your choice. And if that is your choice, then stand by it. But don't surrender your humanity. Don't surrender the aspect of light within you. Don't compromise on what you know in your heart to be right. And look at the outcome that you would like to see. A happier, more compassionate world. That would be a really, really good outcome to work towards. A wiser species. That is an awesome one to work for. And if nothing else, to make it very clear that the shadow is never, never more powerful than light. That at best, there are points when they balance. But when we get together and we put our hearts behind something positive, and we join our thoughts and our prayers and our conviction and our commitment to realizing that we can be better, that we are better, that we can be proud of ourselves and make choices that move humanity forward. You know, those are really good things. And I wish that for all of you. Choose from your heart, not from fear, not from anger. Turn anger into determination, because that is something that can create something wonderful in the world. Decide that you are going to leave this world a better place than you found it. And if each and every one of us make that choice to choose from our hearts, to choose from our spirits, whatever belief system you have, go to that and say, okay, what resonates as true for me? And I hope you choose peace. And I hope you choose love. Because that does make this walk in life so much easier for all of us. And if you're conflicted in that, if you can't figure out what you choose, then don't choose anything. Let it rest until you figure it out. So, thank you for joining me. And for someone who was on Blog Talk Radio, and I'm sorry I couldn't get to your call, please leave a message in the comments, and I can contact you. And if you had a question or a statement, and I can also incorporate that into the next program, which, just to let you know, that next week, because I've got a meeting, I will be pre-recording the episode. So if there are any comments from this episode, and please, I want to hear your comments. I want to hear what you think. And I want a dialogue. And just please remember that, this is about moving something positive. So I ask for the comments, at the very least, to be gentle. And they can be passionate, but just, be kind to other people's comments too. So thank you for that. And so next week it won't be live, it'll be recorded. So that'll be actually be kind of a first. It's one of my firsts for this month of my birthday. So but please comment, and I will be responding to the comments afterwards. So thank you again for joining me. I hope that the intention of what I wanted to say came through. And if there's an issue with it, then please send me a comment and we can dialogue about it. And if you want, you can follow me on Twitter. I've been doing a thought of the day, so you can explore that on Twitter. You can also go to my Facebook page, Medicine Walk with Dr. Ayleen. And so, until next time, I wish you balance and I wish you blessings from my heart to yours. I love you. Bye-bye.